Hello and welcome to WorldCanvass from International Programs at the University of Iowa. I'm Joan Kjaer and we're happy to have you with us this afternoon at FilmScene in Iowa City, and thank you for joining us. If you haven't been here to our live shows before, please consider coming someday. You can come to these live tapings or catch them later on UITV, YouTube, iTunes, and the International Programs website. And our website is international.uiowa.edu. Our topic tonight is food. We're proud to say that we're one of the kickoff events for the University of Iowa's Food for Thought theme semester. Our topic in this first segment of the show is food, imagination, and the power of memory. And it's my pleasure to introduce my guests. Just next to me is Linda Snetselaar, University of Iowa Associate Provost for Outreach and Engagement. Welcome. Next to her is Lauren Rabinovitz. Thanks, Lauren, for coming. She's a professor in the University of Iowa Department of American Studies. Thank you. And Chuck Swanson is known to many people in this area as the Executive Director of Hancher, and thank you for being here, Chuck.
Thanks, Joan.
So, Linda, I would like to turn to you first to ask you to tell us a little bit about what this theme semester idea is and why did you choose food?
Okay. The theme semester was really something that we devised to try to form this kind of umbrella topic that would bring a variety of disciplines on campus, departments on campus, colleges together with one kind of common idea. And food is one of those things that is very, very easy to sort of look at from a variety of perspectives, and also a topic that everyone can kind of relate to because everyone eats and most people really, really love food. So that's one of the things that I think prompted us to really focus on food. I do want to emphasize that this is something that we are doing out of the Office of the Provost. Outreach and engagement is really the focus of one of the things that I'm involved with. But the idea and the ability to do a theme semester is something that has involved many, many different people. And there are really two people I want to recognize. One is Teresa Mangum, who is professor and director of the Obermann Center, and then also Doris Witt, who's a professor in English in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. And they have done a tremendous amount of work to really make this all happen.
And so if I understand it, the idea, you mentioned outreach and engagement. So this isn't really just within the campus or within our own small community. The idea is that all across Iowa and even beyond, people could become engaged in these ideas in this project.
Most definitely.
Yeah, Chuck, let me throw some questions down to you. I know that you've been involved in this from the very beginning as well. And I understand there's a play coming up that Hancher has commissioned.
Yes, we're very excited about it. We're working with Working Group Theater. And I would say about 2 years ago, we just came together with Sean Lewis, the artistic director, Jacob Yarrow and I did, and we decided that we wanted to do something a little more joyous. This is our 5th commission that we've done with Working Group Theater. And the other subjects have been pretty heavy. You know, we've had plays that have dealt with Alzheimer's, cyberbullying, you know, with the changing demographics of our community. And so who doesn't get excited talking about food? And so together we decided that we wanted to create a play about food. And Sean goes about his work in such an interesting way. He really does very, very extensive research. And so we worked with the communities of Decorah and Grinnell. And he spent a lot of time in both communities, spent a lot of time over in western Iowa. And it's interesting doing his research. He even worked in a cafeteria line in Decorah. And he told me that he made purple French fries out of purple potatoes, but he said these weren't very well received by the students. I don't think the students were very happy about that. He worked on a farm. He helped to install an electric fence on a farm. And he also went to a lot of food co-ops and had talked to a lot of farmers from various sized farms and also various backgrounds in terms of corporate farms, family farms. And now he's come up with this play, and the script is done, and it's actually a musical, which I'm very excited about. 13 songs from the Awful Pretties. And as you know, we don't have a home, so we're presenting in all these various locations. And we've never presented at the Johnson County Fairgrounds, but we're going to be in, I think it's Barn A. And so April 17th and 18th, and we're encouraging everybody to bring food. It'll be kind of a cabaret style. And I'm just totally excited about it.
Well, and I think the play is called All Recipes Are
Yes,
Home.
all recipes are home.
All
Thank you.
recipes are home. So that sort of gets to this idea of memory, kind of the
It
power of
does.
memory.
It
Everybody.
does.
How are you? You're a nutritionist, or you do research on nutrition and healthy communities, healthy individuals, and so on. What have you noticed in all these years you've been working with individuals, talking about healthy lifestyles, improving what we do for better long-term results? People are very, very attentive to and possessive of foods they've loved from childhood, aren't they? Yeah.
And so I think it's very important when we work with clients or patients to really sort of look at where they start and tailor. To say everyone should eat the same way never works. And so that idea of really caring about what their culture is, what they care about in terms of food, what their comfort foods are, is incredibly important.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to bring Lauren Rabinovitz into this now, too. As I mentioned, you teach in the American Studies Department. And I know that you teach a course on food and culture.
Food in America,
Yeah.
which is part history, which means that it's largely immigration and migration history, because in looking at food and identity in America, we take it all the way back to the beginning, to the first contacts. But American food is unique. We can always sort of talk about techniques and name dishes of French food or Japanese food or Chinese food. But American food is really hard to pin down because it doesn't have the same specific styles, techniques, and identifiable dishes. What it has is a continuity of contacts and fusions among different cultures in the United States. So we talk about that through doing a lot of immigration, migration history. The other parts of the history are also technology. Changing technologies have dramatically altered the way we eat. And we think about that a lot now in terms of locavorism versus the global reach we have for food due to advanced technologies. But also one of the things about American food, despite the fact that there are people who go hungry, is the expectation of abundance. And that has shaped food history from the beginning, from even why people came to the United States up to the present. So the course is part history, part we look at the business of American food today. We especially focus on meat packing, which is the #1 manufacturing industry in Iowa, and corn, as Iowa is the #1 corn producer. And then we end the semester with the students getting a chance to think about some of their relationships to pleasure in food. And we talk about food in popular culture, particularly the abundance of food on television.
Wow. And so you have not only domestic students, not only U.S. students in your courses, but also international students.
I have students from all majors and from a variety of countries. And I'm really sort of proud of the international students who come to the course saying, you know, I want to learn about American culture, I want to learn about American society. And they rightly say that the best way to get a foot in the door is to learn about how a society eats.
What are some of the surprises what are some of the things you hear from students that have surprised you?
I would say the thing, I've done this course now since 2007. And I would say the one thing that is surprising but not surprising, I mean, it surprised me. On occasion, we've been able to do taste tests. So we not only study with conventional methods and conventional materials, but I have been able to bring food into the classroom. And I have 150 students, so we don't do it too often, or I can't bring in too much. But when I am talking about the introduction of cake mixes, when we're talking about the late 1940s and the 1950s, and changes in women's relationships to their kitchens that continue to the present day, we talk about the advent of cake mixes and how women initially rebelled against cake mixes. And the students find that completely unfathomable because they've grown up with cake mixes and they can't understand why someone wouldn't want a cake mix. So we do a taste test, and I bring in a sample of a cake, same flavor, made from scratch, and one made from a cake mix. And the cake mix one is quite a bit sweeter and stickier, and the sweetness actually overwhelms most of the other flavors. And the students are readily able to distinguish between the two, but almost all the students say they prefer the box mix because it reminds them of the birthday cakes they had when they were children, because their mothers made cakes from cake mixes, or they got a cake from the local grocery store, which was made from a mix. And so, talk about eating healthy. They prefer the one that has all the chemicals and the overpowering sweetness. But that's not wrong. It's again, it's because of an association with happy memories and childhood birthday parties.
Yeah. I seem to remember hearing somewhere along the way that part of this rebellion against packaged foods or foods that might even in the end taste really good, but a housewife in a certain period of time would have been embarrassed to present something that she hadn't had some part in sort of originating. And so while it would have been possible to put absolutely all the ingredients into the box, they left eggs out because that way you had contributed to that.
Initially cake mixes, which were developed originally for the soldiers in World War II overseas, but they were just powdered mixes, and all you had to do was add water. You didn't have to add anything.
Yeah.
And the cake mix companies altered that formula so that you would put in eggs and oil, because the housewife, who was the general maker of the cakes, would feel like she was doing something creative by cracking eggs. It would give her an opportunity to participate in a way that just pouring water in didn't. But it was entirely possible to make a cake mix without adding anything but water.
Yeah.
But those didn't go.
Yeah. Wow. Linda, I know that you have some events that are coming up this semester that we should talk about too.
Yes. On Thursday, the 22nd, there is an event in Old Capitol, and that event is going to focus on agriculture, ways of producing foods in the past, and sort of what happened in terms of taking foods from the garden to the table. And it's a wonderful, wonderful event. Everyone is welcome to come for a reception from 5 to 7. And this particular exhibit will be there spring through summer. And it's just a wonderful way, I think, of showcasing what has happened in terms of farming and food in Iowa over time. So would love to have as many of you in the audience today come as possible. And then a second event, I'm going to be doing a session that is in the Levitt Center. It's the 32nd presidential lecture, and it will be about food, culture, and communities. So I'm going to talk about the studies that I've done over time and why it is so difficult to tell everyone just exactly what to eat, what the rationale for that is. And I'll also just talk about some really incredibly wonderful things that are going on in terms of research today and what effect they're having on some very devastating diseases. So that's at the Levitt Center on February 22nd, starting at 3:30. And there will be a reception following, and you're all welcome to come. It's open to the public. And then one more event, and this is in my college, the College of Public Health. We're going to be doing some work with a community sustainable agriculture fair. This will be on the first floor in our new College of Public Health building in the atrium, and it will last from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock on February 26th, and we would love to have you come to that as well. That event, once again, is open to the public, but there will be a lot of communicating with farmers who grow food in this area, and then ways in which we as consumers can work with them.
Obviously, we live in a rich, bountiful state. We have food all around us. You already remarked upon the fact that while we feel that there's food all around us, many people don't have enough to eat, even here in our community. And your concerns are both about making sure people have enough to eat, but also eating the right things. Can you tell us a little bit from the point of view of American studies, what has this transition been within the last 100 years ago from people growing their own food in their own gardens and very rarely perhaps buying anything that was pre-made or anything other than from the local butcher. And now here we're in this crazy global marketplace, really, where you can get everything from, very delicate caviars to you can get everything, it seems, if you have the money and you can drive to the community where there's a store. What does that do to our culture? How has it changed
How
us?
has it changed our society?
Yeah.
That's a tough and complicated question. Certainly, it enhances other aspects of our society in which we are a society of consumers, and we don't identify with being producers at all, that we identify more with what we consume than what we produce. And for my students, I would have to say one of the things about the class that I try to work with is they're completely cut off from a kind of food chain. They don't really think about the production of their food. When we talk about the business of American food, it's a real eye-opener for them to think about how their chicken is made, or how the beef that gets into their burger, what processes those things go through. They have no idea. They have no idea what the ingredients are. That we take our food for granted. We take the abundance of it for granted, and that. But that, I think, is part and parcel of a larger identity of consumption and of sort of ready expectations of things, of instant gratification, and that things will be there. I should say that the students are actually really eager to sort of connect back into the food chain and to realize that the story of food connects them not just back to to other producers and other parts of the food chain, but it connects them to animals, it connects them to plants, it connects them to living things.
I talked with someone as we were preparing for the show this afternoon who wondered if we would be discussing a vegan diet, a vegan diet. And whether someone may have a nut allergy or need a gluten-free diet or prefer to live in a vegan way. These are things that are not such strange concepts to us anymore. I think in popular culture, we're aware of vegan restaurants and gluten-free foods and whatnot. This is a positive change, I would think, isn't it? Because people are perhaps more aware of some of what food does for us in a positive way and how it can harm us as well?
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
I think that consumers today probably know more about food and what's in food because of labeling and a variety of other reasons. But that really makes us probably more cautious, sometimes maybe more cautious than we need to be, and certainly a different world than it was when we look back at history and what happened in the 50s, for example.
Well, we'll be talking throughout the program about some of the foods that are new perhaps to our area. I think growing up in Iowa, I never saw hummus until a few years ago. And we will have the guys from Oasis on the program a little bit later. We'll be talking also with Kurt Fries from Devotee about locally sourced food. Knowing what it is you're cooking, knowing what it is you're eating, and the pleasure of making it, the pleasure of watching it transform into this delicious thing. So I think the rest of the program will, give us some very specific examples of what's new to our region here and how people, I'll speak for myself, I think that there is sort of a preconception in some parts of the world that the Midwest is sort of unexposed to things that are not even perhaps interested in learning about what it doesn't already know, and that all we eat is Jell-O and casserole at church Sunday, pizza, whatnot. But that really isn't true. And even in small communities here in Iowa, you can find very interesting restaurants doing very creative and interesting things, very concerned about the blue zone and about eating nutritionally and so on. So, yeah. Yes.
I wanted to mention an event coming up on February 2nd, Joan. This is Mark Bittman, who a lot of people have heard about. He's a journalist, and he is a writer for the New York Times, a food critic, and he's written a lot of books. And so this is going to be at the Englert, 7:30, and we're going to have a food drive that night. So we're encouraging people to bring food.
Great.
And we've been working with a lecture committee, and that's one thing about this theme semester that I have really enjoyed is the collaborations and the connections. To learn about, what Lauren teaches, to learn about what Doris Witt teaches. I've been here almost 30 years, and to realize those sorts of things are happening on this campus. And then to be able to connect with communities and to meet so many people. This theme semester. And it really happened because Teresa Mangum brought us together. And the University of Michigan's been doing this for over 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
And so I really feel like this is a great way for the university to connect internally and with our region and with our state. And we're going to be doing an event in Maquoketa. Hancher's going to bring in Inti Illimani, a group from Chile.
Wonderful.
And we're going to use this as another way to extend the food-themed semester, because we're going to, aren't we, Linda, going to serve Chilean food?
Wow.
That's what I've
They're
been
a
told.
great group.
They're a great
Fantastic.
group.
Wow.
So that's May
Wow.
10th and
Wow.
11th.
Wow.
For any,
You sure can.
One other
Yes.
event this
can.
semester. On April 17th and 18th, during the day, the play is in the evening, that Friday and Saturday night. During the day, there's going to be the Food for Thought Symposium. And that is going to actually bring together a number of faculty from not only this university who are working on food, but faculty from other universities around the country who are specialists in food studies, but who come at it from different disciplines, from philosophy, from sociology, from environmental studies, from anthropology, from history. And so there's going to be 3 sessions on the 18th, one on locavorism, one on this global outreach that you were sort of talking about, and one on food and identity. And then we're partnering with the Pomerantz Center on Friday afternoon, the 17th, to have a session exploring careers in food. And all the events are open to the public, and the times and places will be on the website.
Yeah. Wow.
and I want to mention Erica Christensen from Linda's office has done a great job of putting together this website, foodforthoughtuiowa.edu, because we only talked about just a small fraction of the events that are happening.
Yeah, exactly. So I know we have to wrap up this segment, but I can't let you leave the stage, Chuck, without getting an update on Hancher. When will the new auditorium be ready
Thank
to?
you,
yeah,
Joe.
yeah.
The fall of 2016, we are probably about 55–60% of the way there. For those of you who haven't gotten out of your car and taken a walk outside, I tell you, you've got to do that, because I do that just about once or twice a week, and it changes daily. The team that's been put together has put so much thought into this, and I tell everybody it's going to be one of the finest in the country. You know, we are just so, as everybody is, anxiously waiting, but it's not that far away.
Yeah.
We as a staff, I think, will be moving in probably about a year.
Wow.
And then we're going to play with the building, commission it, and we're going to be more than ready by the fall of 2016. And it's going to be an opening that you won't forget. It's going to be great.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. And those of you who don't realize it, you were sitting in Hancher Auditorium's former seats right now here in FilmScene. So I'd like to say thank you very much to Chuck Swanson, to
Thank
Lauren
you.
Rabinovitz, and to Linda Snetselaar for starting us off today. Thank you very much. And please, all of you, stay with us for the second part in this series when we look at how we eat, what we eat, and how food creates and enhances our sense of community. All WorldCanvass programming is available on YouTube, iTunes, UITV, and the International Programs website, which is international.uiowa.edu. And to learn more about FilmScene, visit icfilmscene.org. I'm Joan Kjaer, and for University of Iowa International Programs, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Good night.